Dynamo Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast that we bring you as part of the Dynamo Podcast Network. And tonight I'm joined by Ian the Dynamo Kelly and Peter Hart from the Superior Comic Podcast, all offerings on the Dynamo Podcast Network. And just an announcement that we've also gone live on YouTube as well with our very own YouTube channel. So go and check that out there, subscribe, like, share, spread the word about it. And today we're bringing you our show where we take a review of the last week's fixtures, the predictions for the fixtures coming up this weekend, and we take a look at some of the hot news topics from the week. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you. Very well. I'd like to just expand on that. We're super proud. All three of the members here now speaking have podcasts and shows up on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, type in Dynamo Podcast Network. There's links all over. If you're listening to the show, you'll have seen the links. Hit the like and subscribe button. What does everyone say, Peter? Smash that bell notification out of it, and you'll get updates every time we do a show.
Yeah.
But
Smash that like button.
absolutely, do it all. We're here. We're going to be doing this all the time. We're not going anywhere. So what I would say is, at this point, join the team, and we've got lots of great stuff coming up for you all. So I'm very well. Just wanted to throw that in there. Thanks, Niall.
Excellent. How are you, Peter?
All good, thanks, Gaffer. And what Ian said, just a bit more impressively.
Yeah. Good. When we go through the fixtures at the moment from last weekend and we look at the results, obviously Villa Newcastle was postponed due to a COVID outbreak at Newcastle to be rescheduled. So our first match really of the weekend, we had Burnley versus Everton. They played out a 1-1 draw.
Just on that, sorry, Gaffer, I don't mean to cut across you. Just the thing with the postponed Newcastle because of the COVID outbreak. That was building up for days. And I have to say, it's weird that a Newcastle match in Newcastle is called off with a COVID outbreak. That's not the worst thing to be spread around by them Geordies. So why is it only COVID calling off a match?
Maybe it was more than COVID and they only put it out as COVID.
COVID/chlamydia. I've seen Geordie Shore. I know what goes on.
You leave Cheryl Cole out of this, okay?
It's Cheryl Tweedy, or is it Cheryl Versini, or is it just Cheryl?
Listen, she's just not as good as she was when she was with Ashley. That's all I know.
Problem was Ashley spent too much time with John Terry.
Once a coven bird, always a coven bird. All right.
There you go. So then we move on to Manchester City versus Fulham, 2-0 to Man City. For me, felt like a very low score line, to be honest, based on Fulham's form so far. And obviously City have been kind of low scoring recently. West Ham versus Man United, 3-1 to United. Didn't really tell the tale of the match at all. West Ham squandered a load of chances first half and should have realistically been out of sight. And then we move on to probably the match of that day, Chelsea versus Leeds, which should have been attack versus attack. Chelsea fairly comfortable. At moments, Leeds came into the game, but Chelsea seemed reasonably comfortable throughout the game at 3-1. Then moving on to Sunday's fixtures, we had West Brom versus Crystal Palace. Palace beating West Brom 5-1. Free-flowing and free-scoring Crystal Palace, which I was kind of shocked at because they had been stumbling in recent weeks. Leicester 2-1 against Sheffield United at Sheffield United. Again, a last-ditch winner. Jamie Vardy with a breakaway in injury time, which was quite shocking, really, because I thought Leicester would have bounced back and put Sheffield United to the sword. Tottenham 2-0 winners in the North London derby against Arsenal. Arsenal absolutely poor, continuing this
blood.
Form.
We're gonna be talking about these games in a moment anyway, aren't we? So I'll let you continue.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll let you continue.
And Tottenham doing the very Mourinho thing. Two great breakaway goals as usual.
You get me blood. You get me blood, fan blood.
That's it. And then Liverpool absolutely putting Wolves to the sword without a shadow of a doubt. Probably one of the best pressing games they've played all season, and Wolves really had no answer for them. And
Yeah,
then we
without their
rounded,
striker, yeah.
and then we rounded it out
Yeah,
on
well,
Monday
maybe
night.
he wishes he was Kelleher.
And then we rounded it out on Monday night with Brighton versus Southampton. Southampton winning 2-1.
Yeah. So where do we start on that weekend? I suppose Liverpool is probably the best place to start because it was, again, we're going to Liverpool with injuries and they're still getting those results. Yous all have, you've all shot your load on these new players that are coming in, which is fair. To be fair, I think, as a Chelsea fan, sometimes we have banter and we take the piss out of each other. But, Liverpool have these little players that that Klopp is able to bring in and, they do the job, at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, me being an old school Chelsea fan, that's exactly what you need when you want to win leagues. You need to be able to bring these. I've always said this, like, people always complain, oh, well, we have this injury or that injury. That's why you've got a 25-man squad. It's a squad. Do you know what I mean? It's not a first 11 and that's it. And then you get to cry and, throw your toys out of the pram when when one of your first 11 gets injured. Liverpool are showing now that they have a very, very resourceful, setup there and a system that Klopp has to be, as much as it pains me to say, that Klopp has set in place that from the academy up to the reserves, up to the first team, are all aware of their place within that system.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with the. Listen, injuries are always going to be bad. It's never ideal to have to replace a £75 million centre half with someone from the youth squad. But at the end of the day, you want to see these youth players come up because they're the ones that are putting the passion because they know this could be their only chance to impress the manager at a top level. So they need to put their marker in the game. And I think Kelleher has done that in recent weeks. I think Reece Williams has done it. I think Nico Williams is coming into himself. Jones is definitely turned into a tidy little player. And
I've watched him for quite a while, actually. I've seen him play against the Chelsea youth team about 2 years ago. And I remember we fairly hammered us in that game, but I do remember him standing out as a player that looked really shit hot. So it's good to see him finally make a step up.
One of those, it's good to see the youth pushing through, and this is what you have them there for. Like you said, for injuries, we have a squad, and then for injuries within the squad, we have the youth.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at Jones as well, he has a bit of bite about him and a bit of presence as well. You can see him being, in future, he could be a top midfielder. He's really, really shining into that sort of role, really.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah. No, but it was impressive to see them again back at that sort of that heavy sort of press game where Wolves got no time on the ball and Liverpool were just constantly pressing and constantly winning the ball back even when they lost it and everything was attack. It was
they dropped the long ball game, yeah.
Yeah, but they went out there and it was compared to the Brighton game the week before, it was apples and oranges, really. It
was night and day. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. It was great to see it.
No, I was very impressed, as I say, as a neutral. It was, I like Wolves as well. I like seeing Wolves play, and Wolves always give people a tricky game generally, even away from home. Very sad. I know we didn't speak too much. Very sad, and obviously. Our thoughts are with Raul Jimenez, and hopefully he gets a speedy recovery as well. Because that would be a horrible way for a career to end. But first and foremost, on a human level, you just want to see him getting back to full health, and it looks like that is the case. And you can see how much Wolves miss a player like that. But listen, Wolves have a great style of play, and Liverpool just showed that they have got strength and depth in there, and it looks like. Looks like Klopp has kind of gone back to basics and gone to what got him to the dance, and he's basically making use of these players that are coming up. But these players are coming up and stepping up. That's very impressive.
I do have a bone to pick actually with the match before we move on. Something I noticed when Wolves were given that penalty before the ref went to VAR, when Mane tried to do the overhead clearance and then pulled out of it when he seen Cody come towards him and Cody dropped to the ground. Fair enough, VAR looked into it. Referee, right, no penalty. My bounce pick is, as much as I like him as a player and a person, I can't understand why Cody wasn't booked for simulation after that. If VAR confirmed that there was no contact and he went down looking for a penalty.
Yeah. And that has to be across the board as well, whether it's our team or not. That has to be.
Yeah.
You're cheating, you get a yellow card. Yeah.
VAR has literally been in there. It's said, right, there was no contact. You went down. You should be booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So then I suppose we should go to the North London derby then, shouldn't we? Really next.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know. I've never seen Arsenal look so weak and exposed in all the time I'm watching Arsenal. And they were literally beaten basically on 2 breakaways when you think about it. It was just 2 top counter-attack breakaways. And they had no answer whatsoever.
Well, Go ahead.
Yeah, they have a £60 million striker up front who can't seem to hit a barn door at the moment from 2 feet.
Well, he's got paid. He's got paid a lot of money now. I've got a couple. When you're finished, I've got a couple of balls to pick and a couple of invites to some Arsenal fan TV fans. You know, all these lads that try and intimidate people through their screens. I've got a few of those rude boys that I'd like to invite on here to the Upper Tier podcast and explain to me how after the FA Cup final that Arteta is the master and that Frank Lampard is the pupil. So continue on your bit and I'll go on my little rant about that sham of a club in North London that think that they're a big deal.
Well, it seems like they had, the win against United seems now like a very distant memory, Also, it was just so strange to see them surrender to Tottenham that way. And you have to remember as well, this is the team that broke Klopp. So we can't forget that either.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the team that broke Jurgen Klopp. And, it's interesting to see. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and you know what? You boys are with me then. So after the FA Cup, you get me blood, Lampard. Yeah, you get me blood. Well, I do get your blood, and you're talking shite, and you're spilling blood on a weekly basis right now because teams are literally doing what they want to you, and you have no say whatsoever. You are a submissive club. You are an S&M club. You bow down, you take those whips up the arse, and you accept it. That's what Arsenal Football Club are, and have been for a long time. London has never been red. It never will be. You've never won a Champions League. Just remember that. I'll say that to the Spurs boys too. There's only one club in London that's won a Champions League. Know your levels, mate. And the Blues are back now. So just thought I'd throw that one out there. But Lampard, the apprentice, and Arteta, the master. Thank you, Chelsea, for Willian. You know what? I say you're welcome. You are very welcome for Willian. And you are also welcome for David Luiz, my friends. What we would like to thank you for is Ashley Cole. And I bid you adieu.
And we'd like to thank you for all this glorious content that you provide us with.
Absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how they still think that they're a big club. Like, they're absolutely, it is amazing. And you know what? I say this with love, by the way. I love all the guys on the Arsenal fan TV. I know they're good lads and all that, and I know they're releasing great content. And you know what? Now, as we're all part of the YouTube fam and all that, I'd love to get some of them on and actually to talk with us realistically about Arsenal. And that goes, we say that as part of the Upper Tier. We extend that, invitation with friendship to anybody. It's all banter. We all know that. We do it. These boys are friends with some of the Chelsea fan TV and Liverpool fan TV. It's all a family at the end of the day. And I do feel for the guys, but Jesus H. Christ, they don't have set themselves up to be criticised, do they? It's... Yeah.
I don't feel for them at all. Sorry, don't feel for them at all. Same way I don't feel for United fans at all right now, because these are the same fans that were laughing at us when we were nearly relegated under Roy Hodgson. So you know what?
Sure,
don't feel for them all.
There you go.
All I say is, karma's a bitch.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember they said, Aubameyang has more goals in the new Wembley than Lampard has. So who's the real legend? And I was like, is that that's the level of what they think? What relevance is that? Didier Drogba has more goals against Arsenal than, I suppose, Aubameyang has credits. Do you know what I mean? He has 0 credits when it comes to the real world of football. He is a he's shown himself now to be a mercenary. He got that 300 plus grand a year contract. Now he doesn't give a shit. He can get that hairline fixed nicely every other week now, so he doesn't have to wear the wigs or the hairbands anymore. He's just happy to do that. He's got a one-way ticket to Turkey every other week. He doesn't fly Emirates, he flies Turkey. And that's exactly what he is. And you know what? Speaking of turkeys, that's exactly what Pierre Aubameyang is on the pitch. An absolute turkey, a donkey, whatever you want to call it. The same way Willian is. Willian hard to still in West London. We knew when to write off another turkey. We knew when his sell-by date was up. That's what he's not getting cooked at Christmas. He's getting cooked at Arsenal every week on the wings. So that is my rant. You're welcome. For any more content, hit me up, beingthedynamo.kelly@gmail.com. You're welcome, Arsenal fans. If you need content, bring it on, because that's the only thing that you've got in your future is content, because it's not going to be on the football pitch.
The one-liner I constantly remember is after the United game, it was so long as Solskjaer is managing United, top 4 for Arsenal is a given.
Oh, and Lampard. So long as Lampard and Solskjaer are managing Man United and Chelsea, respectively, top 4 is a given for Arsenal. My brother, if I was you, I'd just give up YouTube, man.
Classic.
It's brilliant.
Let's, I suppose, move on. Let's talk about Chelsea and Leeds.
Oh, yeah. The match that was going to be a 3-3 draw, and there was goals in this game, but there was only one goal for the mighty Leeds. I have to say, as much as I'm not a big fan of Leeds United, it was a decent game. Again, it showed Chelsea's, the difference with Chelsea this time, last year compared to now. They've got that Liverpool aspect about them where they can still get results and still play their football. Jesus, that could have been. I know there could have been a penalty to Leeds, and I agree it actually was a penalty. Being honest, but when you look at the amount of chances that Werner had, I mean, you're talking about 3 clear-cut chances, and it just wasn't his day. You're talking if that was the case, it would have been a 6-2 game. Chelsea just look absolutely phenomenal at the moment. It looks like, at this moment of time, it looks like Tottenham, Chelsea and Liverpool are the teams to beat at the moment. And I was very impressed with Leeds, how they played. There was nothing that we could have done about that first goal. I thought that first goal was great. Patrick Bamford still hasn't, said yes to Ireland or to England. What a waste of international talent that's going to be, because he's 28 now and he ain't getting a game with England as long as Harry Kane's about. And Ireland need a striker. All I'm saying is that's a hell of a waste. But I think Chelsea were once again just getting results, and not just by the skin of their teeth. Leeds went into the ring toe to toe. That was like McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? They gave as good as they got for a while, but then the quality just shone through. The later it got into the game, and once again, can we just take a moment to all take a bow to Olivier Giroud? My God, the lad just delivers when he's called upon, doesn't he? 4 goals in midweek, another goal to get the equaliser against Leeds. Hold up play, bringing in players like Timo Werner in. It was just, like I say, very exciting times for Chelsea fans ahead. Much better than what's going on in one part of North London. And I'll leave it on to you boys, and you can be the guys on the fence on this one.
Yeah, not really on the fence. I mean, my views on Giroud, I think he's like a fine wine. He just he gets better with age. He's just a phenomenal player. I've always spoken highly about him. It shocks me at times. He spends so much time on the bench, and we've had this conversation that he just, sometimes Lampard doesn't bring him in really when he should. At times in matches, and at times that might have cost you a couple of points here and there, because he's a phenomenal player, and he's one of those guys who is he's a truly match winner.
The only thing I'd say on that as well, though, again, we're talking about Lampard, in his 3rd year of management as well. I think it shows the difference with Lampard and certain managers also. He has that, we mentioned before, that you can tell Lampard's looking to managers like Klopp. the Mourinho effect as well. He's still not afraid also, to throw his hands up when he's got it wrong and said, right, maybe Giroud should have been playing a little bit regular, but yeah, he scored 4 goals midweek, got us the winner, in the previous Champions League game. So yeah, he's earned his start. So I think Lampard's laying down a marker there to show that if you put the work in, no matter who you are in the squad, you will get a spot in the squad too, which I think, I'm sure you boys will agree, that's a great precedent to set as a manager, to show that everybody in the squad, knows that they do actually have a chance and it's not favoritism,
Yeah, no, completely agree. Everything said. Like you're supposed to say, Olivier Giroud, sexiest man in football, and the man can finish. He's, like Niall said, he gets better with age. He's like the French Ibrahimovic. Just as the years go up, his goal tally goes up.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, as much as I hate to say it, because I loved hating Chelsea in the past, growing up, especially when we got using every Champions League semi-final.
Not everyone, actually.
Chelsea are impressive this year, and they're the ones that are breathing down our necks. And Tottenham are doing well, but I think they will drop off when teams figure them out. But Chelsea are the ones I think are going to push us right to the finish if we look to get back-to-back leagues.
Niall?
Yeah, I think the top 3 is really finding itself, not in any particular order with Tottenham, Liverpool and Chelsea, but I think then there's 5 or 6 other teams that are going to be just fighting it out really for fourth, really. But I think these are the 3 teams that are going to shine through. I mean, in terms of talent, in terms of consistency, in terms of play, in terms of attacking play and all that, I don't think there's anyone else in the league is really holding a torch to those 3 teams, in reality, So, and I think we always say it takes, maybe 10 to 12 games for the league to kind of find itself. And I think it's probably found itself, not in any particular order on the top 3, because I still think Spurs have the ability to fall off. I still think Chelsea have the ability to even step up even further. And I think Liverpool have to find a way just to maintain really what they're doing in terms of consistency until they get a lot of players back from injury.
Well, I think that's the difference, isn't it, when you're talking about it? Because I think Klopp alluded to it during the week. It's just that you look at Chelsea's squad depth now. That's the scary part, I suppose, from another, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Chelsea man. I'm saying that because it is true. I mean, you can rest the Kai Havertz, who's the most expensive Chelsea player in history, for, a Billy Gilmore now, who Liverpool fans remember well last year, playing amazing in the cup game, like an 18-year-old coming back to fitness. You can rest someone like that. Again, it's the same as Liverpool bringing these young lads in. It's just, to me, I think Liverpool and Chelsea have set the benchmark at the moment that just look like that they have the squad depth. And the players that might not necessarily be name players, especially in Liverpool's case, I know you guys don't have the strength and depth in terms of like a Havertz on the bench that you went out and bought, but you do have these guys willing to step up. And I mean, that would be my only question with Tottenham, is that if Jose can keep his squad fresh, I think he's going to be absolutely fine. It's just, I think squad depth will come down to it. I mean, for some reason, I think City will improve, but I don't know. I just feel that I feel like that this is going to be a year where it's going to be Tottenham, Liverpool, and Chelsea battling it out, and I think maybe City coming in closely behind that trio.
Yeah, good show. So if we move on, let's look at West Ham versus United 3-1. Again, another sort of comeback. I mean, the score doesn't really tell the tale of the match, really, in terms of West Ham. They missed so many chances in that first half. They could have literally went in 4-0 at half-time. And then, very, very similar to Southampton the week before against them. They rue the chances they miss, and then United come back in and find a way to get it done. But as we've seen, obviously, in midweek with them bound out of the Champions League, you can't always deliver those comebacks. You eventually get found out. But yeah, certainly an interesting one,
Listen, I think we should all pay our respects to West Ham for keeping Ollie in a job for a little bit longer. They took one for the team.
Yeah, and then Leipzig kind of threw.
Yeah, they bloody Germans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We are going to we are going to be doing a show that's going to release on Saturday, I believe. And we're going to talk in depth about Man United and the Paul Pogba situation. So we won't get too much into United today, but just to touch on it, yeah, at this moment in time, it seems like a club that's going nowhere. And I mean, look, they're always going to be, one of the biggest clubs up there with Real Madrid and Barcelona in terms of the name value and all that kind of stuff. But look, that's irrelevant at the moment, because every single year I've been having the same conversation with you, Niall, that, Arsenal always look great at the start of the season in the first two games. And I always say, listen, they're bottlers. They won't do it. And it's the same, Niall, you always get worried thinking that United are finally going to sign these big name players, and they don't. And they're not going to under this ownership. I think Pochettino would be absolutely crazy to take that job, to be honest with you, because I don't think he's going to get the financial backing that everybody thinks he's going to get, especially when you're having Ed Woodward coming out already talking about how they have to cut costs here and there, and like how COVID has hit them. And COVID hasn't hit you, United, any more than it's hit any other club. You know what I mean? And don't be jealous that the Russians are just better owners than the Americans. It's just one of those things.
I think it's as well, you have the United fans that were celebrating finishing in third place last season. And, all summer I was hearing, third place is progress. Yeah. Nah, mate, I'm sorry, but under this ownership and this manager, third place is peak for you.
It's absolutely peak. It is peak. And they gave Chelsea a lot of, they gave a lot of teams a lot of dirt last year. They gave Chelsea a lot of dirt as well when, Chelsea had a transfer ban, and they were giving Arsenal a lot of dirt as well, and they were giving Tottenham a lot of dirt. And, guys, United fans like to always say, know your level. I would like to reverse that now and realise that, know your level. This is not the 90s anymore, my friends. Alex Ferguson is now a dinosaur, and he's not coming back to help you. No disrespect to Alex Ferguson, but that's the reality of it. You have a former legend, only known for a last-minute winner. If that's your legend, I think yous can do better. I'm saying this to you, United fans. I'm calling yous out. Yous come at us. Hit us on Twitter. Hit us on whatever medium you want. We are the upper tier. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Get in touch with us and tell us how we're wrong. Or get in touch with us and tell us how you believe that we're right. Because it's a sad state of affairs. I've said it before. I'm not a Leeds United fan in any way, shape or form, but I'm delighted to see Leeds come back up after all that time and come to Stamford Bridge and give Chelsea a game. We want these big clubs, fighting for these top titles, because if our club wins, if you are Liverpool fans and Liverpool finally get that 1 point extra on United on the final day of the season to win it, it means much more. So it's not like we're going, we want United to be relegated and we want, that's it, But you need to know your level. Fans just have this absolutely insane ideology of their club based on name value. We're loaded. We've got the money. Listen, you're not loaded, because if you're talking about cutting costs at Old Trafford, then I would really be worried. And LeBron James now putting more money into. I mean, he's a hack anyway. LeBron James, he's got shares in United and Liverpool. I don't know what that lad's playing in. But
he's hedging his bets.
He's hedging his bets. Yeah. I would say, listen, stay on the Merseyside there. To be honest with you, LeBron, don't worry. I'll keep buying those shoes, LeBron. But you know what? Throw a bit on the Russian side too, LeBron. Just saying.
Yeah, I think the way to look at it really is the days of actually buying the league are really gone anymore now, because the finances have sort of evened the playing field really in terms of, your top 3, 4, 5 clubs there. They're all pretty wealthy. They all have the buying power. They can all attract in players. It's not like the old days where Blackburn went out and they bought in a load of players and bought the league, or, United brought in
even
players.
Chelsea. I know, like, you go on, say it. Like, it's not like in 2004.
No. I don't mean it like that in any shade towards.
No,
Chelsea.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you.
If you, you could easily do that even in the current climate. But you had a transfer ban and you went out and you condensed 2 or 3 transfer windows into one, really, and you went out and you bought players that you needed. So you can be commended on that. That's not necessarily buying the league. That's shoring up gaps that you had and recognising what the problems are. It's a very different situation than going out and buying, the top 11 players in every position into that club to try and land the league or land the glory days back again. It's a very different situation.
I'd agree. And don't forget, United used to do it back in the day. Like Dwight York was the top man at Aston Villa. United went out and bought him for big dollars. Andy Cole was the top man at Newcastle. United went out and bought him for big dollars. Eric Cantona, they bought him from Leeds. So it's the exact same thing.
Don't forget the biggest one. Howard Webb was the top man in the Referees Association. They went out and bought him.
Absolutely. I like that.
Probably
this is
their
not
best
the
signing.
anti-United podcast, by the way. We want United fans to come on.
Listen, you put food on my plate, I'm going to eat it.
Absolutely. So I suppose we should go. Let's go take a look at this week's fixtures coming up then. So
Yeah.
we start on Friday night with Leeds versus West Ham.
That's a good shout, to be honest, because both teams had good showings. Just I suppose in a different kind of setting. I mean, West Ham can probably, as you said, feel a little bit let down by themselves that they didn't put away their chances. I think Leeds, it was more of a case that they went toe to toe, one of the teams up at the top, and didn't really have a lot of chances other than the goal that they scored and possibly the penalty shout. But both teams had two good showings against top teams. So I think that's a good good match actually. I think that could be a game where you could see a couple of goals in it. I would think I fancy Leeds for this one, to be honest with you. I'm going to go for like a 3-2. I fancy 5 goals in this game. 3-2 I'm going to go.
Yeah, I was thinking similar, all right, in terms of, because you're looking at two teams with goals in them, but defensively still wanting for something. So it could make for a good match to kick off the weekend. What's your thoughts, Peter?
I'm going to go exciting 2-2 draw on this one.
Yeah.
I think West Ham will have, after getting a bollocking from their fans and their manager after throwing away a lead to that banter club last week. So I think they're going to need to push on, and Leeds will want to push on again as well. So I think it's going to be a stalemate, but an exciting one.
And Declan Rice, of course, still wants to make sure that move to West London is still available come the summer. So
very good, yeah. So then we should move on probably to the biggest derby of the weekend then. Wolverhampton versus Aston Villa, which certainly will be an interesting game. I would expect Wolves to bounce back from the Liverpool game, being at home. And I would expect them to sneak a kind of a 2-1 win, I'm thinking, for that game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Villa on this one by the same scoreline, personally. I still think Villa have a lot to offer. I do think Wolves do, but I just think Wolves' firepower and their heads are down a little bit because of the Jimenez situation. They probably need that little bit of luck as well for someone to step up in the absence of Jimenez. But I think it's like a psychological thing at the moment, personally, with Wolves, and I think that's probably why the heads are down a little bit. Whereas I do think Leeds have that power, that firepower in there. I mean, Grealish this year has really stepped up. I'd be very surprised if Grealish is there next year, to be honest with you. You've got a lot of European clubs and a lot of top English clubs wanting to take a look at Grealish in the summer. I think they have players in there that can step up. I fancy Leeds 2-1 in this again. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but I just think Wolves at the moment are feeling sorry for themselves just a little bit, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. They've every right to, but it just seems like that big injury seems to be a bit of a blow psychologically to some of the players at this moment in time. I don't know how you feel, because you obviously watched them.
When I look at it, it's kind of like, it reminds me of when we lost Salah in that European Cup final. We kind of lost our leader and we let our heads drop a little bit. So it's similar situation, and I mean they've lost their top player. So, and it's the manner in which they lost them as well. It was very touch and go and very shaky and stuff like that. And it's all well and good asking the likes of Neves and Dendoncker and guys like that to step up, but it's not always the case. It's not always that easy.
Losing your talisman can be a big hindrance. It happens to lots of teams. It happened with Chelsea years ago with Petr Cech. You know what I mean? When you lose someone like that to an injury, especially a head injury like that, or like you said, you mentioned Salah in such a big occasion, it can really play a psychological trick on some of the players, because they are only human after all. So, go ahead.
No,
I'm going to go Villa on that one.
Okay, yeah, it's just going to be, it's sort of, especially if you're on the pitch and you witness that injury as well,
Yeah.
it can shake you up as well, you know. Peter, what are you thinking on that one, Wolves versus Villa?
Sorry about that. I had the technical difficulties in the studio. Had to move.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
but no, I'm thinking Wolves for this one.
Okay.
To be
That's
honest,
what I was thinking.
Wolves
Yeah.
are going to want to bounce back after being torn apart by a weakened Liverpool. I mean, that'll be
Yeah.
a hit in the pride for them. So I think they're going to need to show a bit of resolve and hit back. And honestly, as much as I know they embarrassed us, I think Villa this season, I think it was a flash in the pan. I think they're gonna dip and dip and dip for the rest of the season.
Yeah. In terms of the next game, then we're looking at Newcastle versus West Brom. Not sure what to really think about this. Newcastle obviously ravaged with the COVID. West Brom really
And others.
not doing a whole lot this season. So to me, it's kind of like maybe a throwaway 1-1 draw or something like that. Could even be a 0-0, to be honest.
I'm not laughing at the COVID situation. I'm just laughing at the description. Ravaged with the COVID, the Rona. It's
yeah. Well, it's apparently it was pretty bad for them.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's one of those games. It's kind of one of those games that even as a neutral, you're not really going to be 100% interested in just because of the showing from both clubs so far this season. I think Newcastle once again are one of those. They're like a bottom tier Arsenal club that just failed to deliver, on a yearly basis. Should be so much more than they are. They do have players there that can deliver if they need to. I mean, look, West Brom are only kind of coming back. You don't expect much from West Brom anyway. West Brom are kind of like that vanilla football team that, they're just happy to take part. Not necessarily to take over. They're happy fluctuating between the Premier League and the Championship. And you know what I mean, guys. I mean that with no disrespect. It's just the way it is, and it's the way it looks on paper. Whereas Newcastle, again, this sleeping giant bollocks and all that. Like, it's the same with Villa. Like, I mean, you just mentioned Villa there, Peter. Like, at least Villa have shown something this year that they do have potential to have a little bit about them. I look at Newcastle and I just go, what is the direction here? Like, with Mike Ashley still involved in that club, I think it's they do themselves an awful disservice to their fans, because they probably have some of the best fans in the league, certainly in the country. They definitely do. St. James Park, when they have fans, it's just rocking every week, and they deserve more than what they're being given. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if this was just a boring 0-0 draw or 1-1 draw, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I honestly think I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle on this one. I think Wilson will nick it for them. I think he's a player who's not going to be at that club long. He's a talented player. I don't think they can hold on to him. I think he made a mistake going there in the first place, other than it will show him in a good light, because he will be the backbone of the club for this season. But I think Newcastle is going to be a stepping stone for him, and I think he'll just nick the win for them.
Yeah.
Yep. So then we move on then. Obviously, the Manchester Derby is on 5:30 Saturday evening. United versus City. I'm probably going to disagree with both of you, and I think United are going to bounce back, because that's what they've been doing all season.
Yeah. I'm not going to pander. I'm not going to pander to the red side of Arsenal or of United. Well, it's the same club at the moment, isn't it? So forgive me if I get the names mixed up. Arsenal, United, it's the same thing. And they both have two guys who have a French-sounding name that are just absolute money-hungry motherfuckers as well. So again, forgive me if I get the names mixed up, Arsenal and United fans. But yeah, I think City absolutely destroyed them in this game. I think City also need to step up if they want to be considering themselves title contenders as well. We know come the tail end of the season, City will be thereabouts. But the fact that they're not in this conversation at the moment will be a hit to their ego. Again, they're a club that spent big money this summer, and it's not really getting talked about. You know what I mean? I want to see the Ferran Torres step up here now. You know, oh well, we bought a young player, but yeah, but for multi millions. You know, it's a tricky one. This one, I do fancy. I think it's going to be a 3-1 game, City. Personally, that's my gut, and I'd be willing to put a bet on that, which I think I might. By the way, kids, bet responsibly. But I think I will. I
When the
will.
fun stopped, stop.
Yeah, when the fun stops, stop. So that means if you're a United fan, change from red to light blue.
First, I'm going to go completely different about you again. I think this is going to be a shock draw.
You love them draws, Peter, don't you? You love them draws.
I think, just like what you said, I think the pressure is on City, and I think they'll be feeling the pressure and they'll know they've been underperforming so far this season. And I think that'll get to them. I think they'll get 2-0 up, and they'll try hold that, and that's where Fernandez's swimming comes into play. You know what I mean? You just get into the box and fall on the ground. Greenwood's starting to do it as well. You've seen against Leipzig. But I think that'll happen, and I think it'll be a penalty in the last minute.
That fearless leader that is Bruno Fernandes, who likes to take dives. Yeah.
Yeah. Then them twinkle-toed penalties.
Yeah.
I think last minute penalty 2-2.
Interesting. So then we move on to Everton versus Chelsea. Probably the toughest battling sort of football game of the weekend when you look at it, really. Never an easy place to go to Goodison.
Especially for Chelsea.
Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, then you've got Calvert-Lewin there after coming back to a bit of form there. And then you've got Chelsea playing really well at the moment. So I'm thinking Chelsea maybe by the odd goal. That's what
you said this last week as well with Leeds. You know, I think we have to help the coach here out a little bit and take the Liverpool cap off and not what you hope for, but what you really think. So what you're hoping for, Chelsea might just get a draw, whereas realistically, I can give you some realism when it comes to Chelsea and Goodison Park. Goodison Park in recent years has actually been Chelsea's bogey ground, to be fair. It took. I remember, you probably remember that absolute belter that Kovacic scored last year, the one-timer outside the box, and still lost the game. I know it was a different team and whatnot, but yeah, Everton definitely have always provided Chelsea a difficult hosting venue for us to go and get a result. I think without the fans, I know there's a couple of fans allowed in now. I don't know if there's allowed in Merseyside, are they? Is there
yeah, 2,000 fans.
Okay,
2,000.
okay. So I do think this could be a draw. I'm not going to lie. I think it's a tricky tie. However, I do think Chelsea will still have confidence from. They've rested pretty much their whole first team as well, you know, this week in the Champions League, because it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, they played Tino Angerin, who was never going to start before, and he's only 18 years old. Billy Gilmore came back as well. You know, Jorginho and all those players got to run out. So I think that first 11 for Chelsea will be, you know, fully fit. And I think, again, I would say, I think it's going to be goals in it, but again, I'm going to go 3-1 Chelsea on this one. I think Timo will make up for some of those missed chances, and I think he'll burn rubber when it comes to that. I think probably see Tammy get a game, or else he could stay with Giroud. Who knows?
First, I think Everton haven't been the same team since the draw in the Merseyside derby. That came so close to being a loss for them. They seem to just halt their momentum. As much as it kills me to say it, I have to take the Liverpool cap off, and I think it's going to be a 4-1 win to Chelsea.
Oh, you're going for the big. You're going for the big.
I think Calvert-Lewin will get the goal for Everton. He's been fantastic this year, but I just see Chelsea tearing them apart. Everton seem to concede now, and once they concede, everything just falls apart for them, and they just seem panicky, and they seem to make rash decisions. And I see Chelsea walking all over them.
Okay. I just think with Pickford there in goals, isn't it perfectly set up for Giroud when you think about it?
Yeah, it is.
You can nearly see Giroud scoring like a brace of headers.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Giroud needs to be Chelsea's main striker now, for sure, for the foreseeable future. I mean, something that I actually have to say, and I have to tip my hat to Mr. Tammy Abraham. When he saw Giroud get those 4 goals in the Champions League against Sevilla, and then when he scored the goal against Leeds, you could see what Lampard has now with that young blend of players. There's no ego there. Tammy was the first one to run up and hug Giroud, and he came out and said, "Look, if Giroud takes my spot in the team, you know, I'm honoured to take a backseat to Giroud because I'm learning from him every day." And I think that's what I want from a player like that coming out. You know what I mean? A player that struggles against Tottenham and, you know, critiqued, and rightly so, by some of the media. That's the professionalism that you want from a player coming out, rather than your agent coming out saying, "Oh, we want to leave," you know?
Yeah. So then we move on to Southampton versus Sheffield United. I think this is just Southampton helping their goal difference greatly here. I think Sheffield United at this stage recognise they're only making up the numbers this season, to be honest.
This is like getting a choice between vanilla ice cream and vanilla, you know? Yeah, I'm just going to go score draw on this one.
Interesting. Peter?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I think Southampton will come out and they'll get a bit of form going again. Sheffield United are suffering from that second season syndrome and just isn't going well for them at all after how well they done last season. And that's affecting them mentally. You can see it in the players, you can see it in the managers. They won't admit it, but mentally they are shattered with how this season has gone compared to last season. And I think Southampton will smell blood in the water there. And I'm going for 2-0 Southampton.
Okay.
Yeah. Sheffield tend to give away a lot of set pieces, so that'll play greatly into Ward-Prowse's locker, really, when you think about it. So then we move on to Palace versus Tottenham, which I think is a very intriguing game this weekend.
Me too.
And I think this could be the first mental test for Tottenham, really, at the top of the league.
Yeah.
And I'm going for a 2-1 Palace win.
Oh, I like that. Do you want to go on this one, Peter?
Yeah, listen, Palace are flying high after absolutely demolishing West Brom. They're a side that have broken Liverpool hearts in the past. So, you know what I mean? They sound like a small side, but they're not. Teams have a habit of underestimating them. Jose will know that. But I think they'll hold Tottenham. I think it'll be a 1-1. Yeah, I love the draws.
I fancy a 2-2 in this. And you know what? There's 2 players that play for Crystal Palace at the moment that I have an invested interest in. One obviously being Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who was obviously sent there to rehabilitate from injury. So I understand he still has a big future at Chelsea. I don't care what anyone says. And he's a quality player. I think he scored a couple of goals this season as well. And he's starting to show how good a player he is playing in that central midfield role. Another player that I don't believe has a future at Chelsea, however, is on loan, but is known to creep up with a goal or two. I believe this player is going to come on and score the equaliser, and I think that's Batman, Michy Batshuayi. I think he's not been scoring many goals, and he comes on in that sub role, and I just have a sneaky feeling that you're going to see Michy Batshuayi have some sort of say in this game at the weekend. If I was you kids and you want to gamble responsibly, I would say go out and throw a tenner on any time goal scorer on Michy Batshuayi or Batshuayi for an equaliser. I see a 2-2 in Tottenham's future this weekend.
Good. So then our 4:30 kickoff on Sunday is Fulham versus Liverpool. Again,
Fulham all the way for sure.
No, I think this will be. I think this will be the Liverpool show, really. Although again, Craven Cottage, it's another terrible place to go to. Really,
it's a small ground with the thing about it. It's a small ground and with 2,000 fans, just 2,000. West London fans for Fulham. You know that it could provide a tricky test. However, I do see nothing other than a Liverpool win, but I don't see the whitewash that you would expect. I think you could see like a good solid 3-0 win. I don't think it's going to be 5-6-0. But I see a 2 to 3-0 win for Liverpool here.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm wary on this one. I got overconfident on the build up to the Brighton game, and I don't like underestimating these so-called smaller clubs. I do think it'll be a Liverpool win, but I don't think it'll be as comfortable as we want. I'm gonna go for a 3-1.
Tony
I
Khan
think.
to send Chris Jericho out up front for the equaliser. Sting, the stadium goes black and Sting makes his entrance out, and all of a sudden, VAR can't discredit it,
No
The lights
room
go
for
out,
that.
the lights come back on, and 6 of our players are injured.
Yeah.
No room for that super kick party.
Yeah, that's it. I'm telling you. Yeah. There'd be super kick parties all over the shop. Poor old Salah will be in the walls of Jericho and be like, "It wasn't me." So yeah, I'd be quietly confident there on your part, lads. I think a 3-0 win would be around about right. I think he'll be fairly comfortable in this. I think they'll probably provide a little bit of a test within the first 30 minutes, but I think once Liverpool get that first goal, it'll be pretty much comfortable from there, I think.
Yeah. So then Arsenal versus Burnley.
Hey.
Now, this is a very difficult one to work out, really, and I think this is draw written all over it.
The two worst teams in the league, possibly at the moment. Two of the worst teams in the league in terms of form. I mean, I fancy a 1-1 draw here. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do. I fancy a 1-1 draw. I think. Arsenal have to step up, right? Surely.
Lads, I'm going to say for anyone who's thinking of watching a match, switch on Corrie or Emmerdale or whatever else is on at that time, because that's going to be a 0-0. If you have problems sleeping, switch it on, no problem. That'll put you to sleep. That's going to be a proper stalemate. It's going to be provide nothing interesting at all.
It's like Arsenal went from counting sheep to counting goals. They can't do it. There's nothing for them to count anymore. They can't count on their 360 grand a week striker. The Brazilian wizard that they robbed from Chelsea is not showing up. You know what? Arteta...
Lacazette doesn't want to be there.
Lacazette doesn't want to be there. Lack of zest. Yeah, lack of zest. That's what we should call them. Lack of zest. They have nothing about them. You'd get more penetration from
in the Dynamo Kelly,
from a dildo going through a lemon. And you know what? It would still be probably more exciting to watch than watching Arsenal. Because how do you make that one happen? It's the same for Arsenal. How do they make it happen? They can't. They have absolutely nothing going on for them at the moment. Your man Gabriel, what in the name of good Lord is he? They brought him in. He was going to be the answer to the defensive woes. I think he scored a goal in the first 2 games, if my memory serves me correctly. Seen nothing after that. Not that your defender needs to be your source of goals, but I just see nothing from Arsenal at the moment that tells me that they are even a top 10 side at the moment. And I think Arsenal are no, they're not finished. Let's not be fair. They're not finished as a club. They definitely have money there, but that's the problem is they hemorrhage money. They don't put it back into the side, and they deal with big contracts for some strange reason. I mean, Willian went there. I'm sure he's on big money. Definitely on big money. Let's be real. Petr Cech couldn't wait to get out of there last year once the career was over. It's like, what direction are Arsenal going? And that's a serious question. What direction are Arsenal going? I don't know.
Yeah. There's really only one partay in the league, isn't it? And that's the Jamie Vardy partay.
Hey, do you see that now? Yeah, no, I think they're getting. I think a 1-1 draw on this one. I don't think it's going to be pretty at all.
Yeah. So then we round out the weekend then with Leicester versus Brighton. I'm thinking comfortable win for Leicester.
Yeah, 2-0
Probably
Leicester.
3-0.
2-0.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Leicester. I think Brighton have the ability to put it up to teams. They proved it against Liverpool, and I think they'll nick a goal, but Leicester will still grab that win.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's our predictions.
Right. So from there, we'll move on to this week's hot news topics. I'll hand you over to Peter. Before you there, Peter.
Yeah. So was the main news story be Mino Raiola and Paul Pogba and their little love affair going on there, in bed with each other, counting their money with every trust and seeing where Paul's going to go next.
how good is Paul Pogba's timing? Like, every single international break, every single United struggle, he's just there. Either him or the agent are just heaping it on every time. They did it with Jose. They're doing it with Ole. It's unbelievable. The timing and the way they do it. It's like nearly watching a movie in terms of timing of these things. You know what I mean? It's just, they couldn't time it any better. Like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not going to spend too long on this particular subject because, as I said, we have a podcast that we're going to be dropping on Saturday, with a couple of United fans, friends of the show, that have been on the show before. So we won't spend too much on this Pogba subject because I want to create the narrative a little bit for our listeners here and kind of get them excited for that. Because, to be honest with you, the only thing that United fans have to be excited about this weekend when it comes to football is listening to the upper tier and our take on the Paul Pogba situation. Trust me, you want to tune into this more than you want to tune into the match that United have with Man City this weekend. So let's go from that one and go on to the next story, because trust us, it's going to be well worth it when we talk about Paul Pogba and Manchester
Well,
United.
there's a couple of United stories there, so I'll float through them now to get them out of the way because they're obviously going to talk about that at the weekend. They're out of the Champions League, which is always good. Sorry, lads, didn't mean my bias is shown. Yeah, no, they crashed out of the Champions League in spectacular fashion. All they needed was a point, wasn't it, to go through? And couldn't do that. So,
isn't it amazing that them exiting the Champions League was really only a shock to United fans? Everyone else kind of felt it all week. As soon as Pogba dropped that bomb, everyone felt it all week. It was coming.
Big time.
Now, Chevrolet are saying they want Ronaldo at United. Yeah, Hughes and everyone else, but I don't think Ronaldo's going to play on Thursday nights. I think he goes to the gym on Thursday nights, so I don't think he's available.
Forget about that evening. Just think about that statement there. Just read back that statement. Chevrolet want Ronaldo at United. Not United want Ronaldo at United. You know what I mean? Again, it's just the commercial entity coming through all the time, and football is just a byproduct of what they do. It's crazy.
But football always shines through. Listen, Ronaldo is not going back to United. They can get this. And look, we're all guilty of it. And you guys as Merseysiders are the exact same. Like, oh, such and such players coming home. Oh, Torres, he's a Liverpool boy. I'm like, no, he's a Madrid boy. He's actually from fucking Madrid. You know what I mean? And we do that as English and Irish fans tend to go, oh, they're their own. Ronaldo is not a Man United boy. He's a Real Madrid boy and a Sporting Lisbon boy. That's why he puts money into his city of Lisbon and his town in Lisbon. You know, so this absolute ridiculous thing that English football fans have, and it fucking drives me crazy, I've got to say. Oh, he's one of our own. Listen, yeah, you can have football legends that played for your club, and they are legends to your club, but there's a big difference with a Stevie Gerrard being, a legend for Liverpool and a Fernando Torres being a legend for Liverpool. There's a big difference with a Frank Lampard being a legend for Chelsea and, say, a Roberto Di Matteo. You know what I mean? It's different cultures and stuff. Yes, they embrace the culture, they stay there, they move on, and they earn their paycheck somewhere else. That's just the way it is. And this English media bullshit of, Ronaldo, he's a United man, he wants to come home. Well, if he wants to come home, then he's going to be wearing green and white fucking hoops, if that's the case. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. It's a nonsense story. It's bird brain writers that have nothing else to write. When Pornhub isn't up and running for most of these media guys that work in the Sun, they write bullshit stories like this. So, did I mention fuck the Sun?
Here.
Oh, yeah.
Come at us, Son.
Go ahead, Peter.
Right. So in other news, we had the PSG and Istanbul match called off amid racism. Before we went to that, I'm hearing Istanbul would like to thank Manchester United for their only win in the Champions League this year. Okay, that's my last dig, I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Niall, you take over. I've already.
Yeah, well,
I'm already getting
they,
a call from the Sun here to say that the upper tier is being cancelled and they're going to take us to court. So I'm just going to give Johnny Depp a call and see what lawyer he uses, so as to know not to use him.
Yeah, but they were going in hard after the Leipzig game, and the reality is they threw it away in the Istanbul game. You know what I mean? And no one wants to go and face a German team in your last group game, needing something from a game. It's pathetic. It's stupid, and it was naive from them. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. But like going back on that Ronaldo thing, they obviously dropped these stories out there to dampen down the sentiment that's out there at the moment, in the fan base. But yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so the piece of news was shouldn't have dropped a joke at this segment. This segment's quite serious, and I'm gonna get headhunt now for this. The PSG and Istanbul game was called off, postponed for a day due to racism from the fourth official.
Yeah, it was such a
madness,
absolute craziness there. You know what I mean? And it was the only thing I reflected on it was, I wonder how it would have been taken if it had been a stadium full of fans.
Would have been heard.
Yeah, but not even would it have been heard. But would you have had, like, I mean, if there had been like a 2-team walkout and a cancellation, would there been riots in the stands and would the place have been wrecked? You know, that kind of way. Like it's just hard to know, really. Like it's so unusual football at the moment with no fans in the ground, really. You know what I mean? Because you can literally hear a manager drop change out of his pocket. You know what I mean? It's madness. But it was also, reflecting on those Romanian officials, that was just craziness as well. You know what I mean? And then
you know what? I'm sick of talking about racism in 2022, especially when you've got like these absolute morons that still bring it on.
Yeah.
There's racism that's really gone on there. Throw the book at these motherfuckers and get rid of them. Just get rid of them from the game. You know what I mean?
Apparently he's only going to get a 10-match ban now, from what I'm reading.
Well, I find that absolutely disgraceful. It should be a 10-year ban.
Listen, they have it in their campaign, the Kick It Out campaign. Kick them out.
Absolutely. It baffles me. Again, I haven't heard any fallout from the Cavani situation either. Like I said, we talked about consistency and we want consistency. It's absolutely madness. We're seeing one of the English networks bringing up a story with Anton Ferdinand again, talking about racism in football, and of course the Sun was driving this story. When John Terry racially abused Anton Ferdinand, if I was John Terry, I would get onto the lawyers straight away and take the Sun to court once again, because again, a man that was found innocent in a court of law. Do you know what I mean? Again, the FA and football seem to be a law unto themselves, and these media outlets seem to be able to derive and create the narrative as to what way they want it to be. And I think if the Cavani situation isn't addressed in the next 2 weeks, and this Romanian referee, fourth official, is only going to get a 10-match ban and nothing happens to Cavani, well then what is all this taking a knee about? Really, realistically, what is it about?
The big thing I don't understand about it, I've seen people defending it, saying, there'd be nothing said if he said it was the white guy. Yeah, like,
doesn't matter.
That's just like not even gonna give that response.
Don't even entertain it. Yeah.
There's no like the people saying, he was just telling the ref who to book. I'm sorry, these players have large numbers and their name printed all over their kit. All you had to say was it was number whatever. It was the fellow with this name on his back. There was literally everywhere else he could have looked rather than the colour of the player's skin.
You would think if you're a senior professional European official that, like, when you're furnished with a team sheet, that like you'd sit down for a few minutes and you'd know it inside out. You know what I mean? And it's absolute nonsense.
It's just nonsense. Exactly. I mean, look, if we're on a pitch, on a Sunday morning, we're watching our mates play with 11 aside, and there's only one black player on the pitch, and you go, the black fella there, I can't make his number out. That's not racism, of course. That's just saying your man. It's no different than if there's one guy with a ponytail, your man with the ponytail. Do you know what I mean? That's the same. But we're talking about elite level officials here that are employed by UEFA. You know what I mean? It's different levels, and it's also different contexts as well. So yeah, I agree with Niall there on that one. It's absolute nonsense. And like I say, I don't always advocate throwing the book at people or anything like that. Especially because there's always different sides to every story. But on this story, there's no sides to it. It's just absolute, just craziness.
Well, what you would assume at a minimum, if that official is getting a 10-match ban, then are we not wrong to assume that Cavani then, at a minimum, should get a 10-match ban?
But he won't get anything because he plays for Man United.
Well, then we're not.
The only colour that matters to the FA nowadays is the colour of those brown envelopes being slid along the table.
Yep. Yeah. Don't forget, we're talking about an organisation that threw the book again. And you know what? Come at me, Twitter, and come at me, YouTube. That's fine. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here. We love this. Interact with us. But I'll say it again. John Terry got stripped of the captaincy because a newspaper broke the report that he slept with Wayne Bridges' missus. Right now, listen, that's all personal life. That's not for us to, really have a conversation on this particular podcast. However, if we want to talk about fairness, right? The next story that broke a couple of months after that, Capello stepped down after that because he said, no, he shouldn't be stripped of the captaincy. They just took the captaincy off him. Guess who got the captaincy for the Olympics the following year? After the story broke out that he had an 11-year affair with his brother's missus, Ryan Giggs was given captaincy of Team Great Britain to represent Great Britain. And nothing was said about that. So,
well, nothing represents Britain more than taking something that isn't yours.
Oof. Bombshells. I would just like to say that Niall and Ian Kelly have nothing to do with, Peter Hart's opinions are of his own.
Look here,
Bombshell tonight.
Any other stories, Peter? Swiftly moving on.
While you're still here.
I'm gonna start belting out the trad tunes. Inter Milan actually ended up finishing bottom of their group, having looked like they were in a kind of a fairly positive position to progress. All they needed was a win.
I was dying for them to get through because I was hoping they draw United. I was just praying that they draw United. I'm actually praying now that United get through and they end up drawing Rangers against Gerrard or something like that. I'm just holding out all hope there. You know what I mean?
You don't really want that to happen because you as a Liverpool fan, you don't really want someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer showing up Steven Gerrard. You know what I mean?
No, but I do want Ryan Kent scoring the winner.
I would love, if that happened, I would love to see Gerrard recreate that celebration from the 4-1 win and running up and kissing the camera along the sideline.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If that match happens, I will love nothing than to watch one of the Rangers players slip the same way Steven Gerrard slipped. So, up the Celtic. So let's move swiftly along on that one. There's a man talking about Republican songs, and he's up for fucking Rangers. We're moving right along here. You know what he is. I can't say that hate word. No, all joking aside, and in fairness, he's doing a good job this year. In fairness, Steven Gerrard. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry to all you Glaswegians and all you Scottish fans. I'm a Celtic man. It is what it is. It's no hate here. It's all banter. But one thing I would like to mention before we do go. Is that obviously we are going to be doing the Man United podcast, and we do want to say, when you guys listen to us, please bear with us. Obviously, you've got a Chelsea man and two Liverpool fans here. We give each other as much abuse off camera, as we give other teams abuse on camera. So it is all banter, but we do want you guys to take part. And like I say, if you ever have any suggestions, Peter runs all of our Twitter here. There's plenty of amazing graphics that he runs out and different kind of stats for different teams as well. It's not just an out-and-out biased show here or a podcast. We are more than
Fernandez in my first team of the week.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And listen, I've mentioned earlier as well. I don't want United to be in this position. I want United to be up there challenging as well, so that teams that do win it, we have that original kind of feuds going, and that's really what it's all about. And so don't ever think that we're just taking on the chin, guys, because like I said, plenty of Arsenal people gave me absolute dogs abuse last year when we lost against we lost against them in the final in the FA Cup, and said that was it. Like, Arteta was the master and Lampard was the pupil. So if that's the case, Jesus Christ, Lampard's a quick learner, I'll just say. But yeah, we're all for everybody here. If anyone ever has any show suggestions or anything like that as well, send in queries. If you ever want to come on the show, we're more than happy to have you on the show as well. So just wanted to say that before we moved along. It's all about banter here.
And it's actually a good little segue there, because the last piece of news I have, I know we touched on it already, but the Arsenal fans are starting to explode and turn on Mikel Arteta.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things. It's like, again, it's the fickleness in football of the modern era. We've seen it with some Lampard fans towards the end of last year. I seen the fan base divided as well, and I was like, what is going on here? I think in 2020 the modern fan has been trained to want success yesterday and not what's been building towards the future. I remember some Liverpool fans, and you guys remember it too, wanting Klopp out in the first kind of couple of years. Well, how has he brought us any further than Brendan Rodgers did? Brendan Rodgers came second. Like, what's Klopp doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's a process, and I think the patience is a virtue. I can understand Arsenal's kind of level of concern at the moment, considering the level of talent that they have. And when you see Arsenal at home with 11 men behind the ball, it's not a style of football that they're used to. It's certainly not a product of the La Masia protege that came in. But it is still quite fickle to think that, Arsenal, last year weren't a great team either, but they still came out with an FA Cup. So, you would surely give the man till the end of the season, right?
You'd have to. Look, it took Klopp, we've seen small improvements over the years, but it took him the 5 years to get us what we wanted, which is the Premier League. And along the way, he provided other trophies because he was given the time, he was given the backing. He needed to get rid of dead wood, bring in his style players, and implement his style on these players and get them used to it and up to speed and ready to go. It's, like you said, it's a process. It takes time. A manager's not going to come in and tell the team, I want to play this way, and they're all not going to pick it up straight away. It's changing the styles, changing the positions, and I'd say give him to the end of the season, see how he's doing. If they're really bad off, get rid of them. If they've done okay and they've managed to stay in the top half of the table, give them till January to the year after.
Yeah, I think the problem they're facing is not dissimilar to United insofar as, they've two young enough managers in there trying to manage two big clubs, and the problem that they have at the moment is, even if you do really want to put both of them out the door, you don't really have an alternative there at the moment to hire in that you really want. And anything that's out there of any kind of stature or quality that you would hire in probably isn't interested in taking both of those jobs with the ownership position at both clubs. It couldn't be any more unfocused on football. And it's not like, as you said earlier, Ian, the whole idea of Pochettino going into United, it probably is not appealing to him whatsoever. So then who do they bring in? You're looking at a situation where they're going to have to try and prize a manager who's probably in a job at the moment out of that job. And that's very difficult to do. Plus, it's not very easy to hire a manager mid-season in that January window and stuff like that if you do.
Well, I would say in Pochettino's case, he has as much eye on Inter Milan and Juventus in the summer as he does Man United or Arsenal.
Possibly even Madrid.
Or possibly, well, I think, exactly. So, I mean, Juventus is a club that's very well run. I know they've kind of not done much since Sarri came in, but that's the Sarri effect, let's be fair. That's what Sarri ball does for you. Pirlo is, he's a young manager. He's only starting off, so hopefully maybe Juventus give him a little bit of time there. But, like I say, there's three clubs. Conte could be gone unless he wins, the Serie A this year with Inter Milan. I think with that showing in the Champions League, Conte could want out. Because Conte, he throws his toys out of the pram unless there's big summer signings in Inter Milan this year for Conte, he'll throw his toys out of the pram, and he could end up back in bloody, Juventus for all you know with him. He's a loose cannon, that guy, and I love him for that. But all I'm saying is, to touch on what Niall said there, it's a very good point. Pochettino, Man United isn't the only option for Pochettino. It would be very funny if he ended up at North London with Arsenal and start using those youth players and got a couple of players in. That would be very funny with Tottenham fans to see what way they reacted. But no, I mean, all joking aside, yeah, Real Madrid, Juventus, I think they're the two clubs now with Pep Guardiola gone out of the race for Juventus. I think Real Madrid and Juventus are as much an option for Pochettino as United are, maybe even more so.
Yeah, and a much more attractive proposition.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. I think that's about it for this week, lads. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been another good one. And sure, we'll be back again over the weekend with our Manchester United review, with a couple of Manchester United fans coming on to give us their thoughts on what's going on at United at the moment.
Can't wait for it.
Till next time, I'd like to thank Ian.
We'd also like to mention, just before we do go, Niall, I got your memo there. I got your note.
No passing notes in class.
We are going to, we're going to be doing a live stream on Monday at 11 a.m. I believe. We'll probably start the stream at about 10:30, half an hour before the Champions League draw. So do be sure to go and follow us, like I said, on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. We're going to be doing a live stream, the three of us talking about, the potential knockout games that are going to be coming up in the next round, the round of the 16 of the Champions League. And so do keep an eye out. We'll have more information on that over the weekend, and hopefully we can actually get a reminder sent to you guys as well, so you can just click that, and once the live stream starts, you'll be able to click into that and you'll be able to follow us on that. So that will be a little bit of fun. We're going to do our first live stream for the Champions League knockout phase, and talk about. We'll have a bit of fun, I suppose, in the build-up, and then obviously we will talk about the actual games that happen then as well. Give our predictions.
Cover the draw.
Yep.
Cover the live draw. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. So for myself, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and Peter Hart from the Superior Comic Book Podcast, tune in next time.